It worked.
Yay!
Whoop, whoop. I was hoping that it worked. Earlier it wasn't working. Well, it was getting slow. Getting slow.
Are you on live?
I'm live.
Woo!
Yeah.
Do people know?
Huh?
Can people tell you're on live?
Yeah, I'm getting all the hello. Merry Christmas Eve, Ryan. Merry Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. Hey. Hello, hey. Much love. You have tons of questions. Cool. Thank you. Hola. Are your questions centered around manifestation and other things spiritual? I thought you wouldn't be post for a few months. I wouldn't post a video a few months. I've been trying to get a video out for the past couple of weeks, but there have been slight issues. It will be finished though. Tomorrow we're going to go and do some shooting and get it finalized. It's a video on Rhythmia. I went again, for those of you who didn't know. Those of you who've been following me on Instagram, you would have known because you would have seen the stories with me and Aaron and Leor and the other YouTubers like Victor Otto. But we went to Rhythmia to take ayahuasca again, and we did it 4 days consecutively. And it was huge. A lot happened. I went so deep this time, all the way, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And those of you who've seen, thanks for the donation, super chat. See me on Instagram would have seen that big machete and all those coconuts. Well, this plaster is why you shouldn't play with machetes. I found out that most of my mistakes I make with a machete are just me handling it. It's not really me using it, which is weird. But I guess it makes sense because that's what I'm not aware of what I'm doing with the machete. And then this will happen. Okay. Question time. I didn't think I'd be going live on my YouTube channel, but because the video that I was supposed to upload was delayed a little bit due to technical difficulties, I decided to go live anyway. So this video will be live, then there'll be a new video, a vlog actually. And then maybe the next time you get a video will be a spontaneous one that I do whilst I'm still here in this location or when I get back home. I also have a San Pedro video that needs to be uploaded or at least edited. I'm going to look through it again, the cut on my computer, to see if it's actually worth uploading. That's the only reason why I stopped, was because it wasn't making any sense to someone who's watching it for the first time. To me, it made sense because I was on it. But otherwise, if you hadn't been on San Pedro, you wouldn't have noticed or made sense out of it. So, okay, let's look at this super chat. Hey there. Just sending some love. Keep up the good work, man. Thanks. Thanks, Black Chocolate. His name's Black Chocolate. Okay, we got another question. Thanks, Precious P. From Precious P. Thanks for the donation as well. I love you, Ryan. Can't wait to meet you. Keep up the good work. Oh, thanks again. Awesome. Let's go through the chat real quick. I'm going to scroll up so I get you guys' questions, the ones that posted questions earlier. So here's all the haze. Happy holiday. I thought you wouldn't be posting. Merry Christmas from Japan. Merry Christmas. I enjoy learning from you. Thanks. Hola. What's up, Brian? Appreciate you coming live tonight. Thank you very much. It's Christmas Eve. What are you guys doing? Does tiring out your body help astral project? Okay. Tiring out your body is the fastest way to fail at astral projection. Because when you tire out your body, you're going to also be tiring out your consciousness, and you're shifting your body into a tired state. In the course and on live when I do Skype calls, I teach people astral projection in a way that's a little different. Okay, my earlier videos, although they work, I call them trigger methods. The trigger method is basically a method where you mix two states of being in order to trigger the astral projection state. The method, which only gets you into astral projection, is a standalone state, meaning I encourage people to actually look at astral projection as a different state in and of itself, okay? The other two states are you being awake and you being asleep. Don't mix those two, because you're only going to get one of the other two outcomes: being awake whilst waiting for astral projection, or laying there wide awake, falling asleep, I mean. So yeah, you'll either be there wide awake or you'll fall asleep if you try to mix the wakeful state and the tired state to astral project. Every now and then you'll hit astral projection. But like I said, it's a trigger method. You're accidentally triggering it. If you want to master astral projection, look at astral projection as its own standalone state of being. Treat it as such. One of the ways of doing that is to only astral project throughout the day. When you wake up, you're up here, right? Because you're wide awake. And then you go down, and then you kind of do this. You plateau. Do it then when you're plateauing. It's a good foundation to build something new. But let's go into manifestation, because I want to do some manifestation talks. Any questions on manifestation or spirituality? Otherwise, I'll just go with it anyway. Okay, desire to manifest $150,000. 2 nights is needed, but I believe it. Okay. How would you manifest $150,000? First off, you need to be untethered from your natural state of being quite a bit to manifest that amount of money. You need to be very freely kind of mobile with where you are stationary-wise, and as a person from an ego state, your character. Because the reason why you ain't got that amount of money right now, and the reason why you're not in the situation where you're getting that money right now, is because you've placed yourself in a different situation and you're a different kind of person. If you were thinking like the people who make that amount of money or who manifest that amount of money, those people are in a different situation where they're able to manifest that amount of money. For example, maybe they know the right people, maybe they're in the right country, or they live in the right area of the world. And so it's easier for them to open their mind to making that amount of money or manifesting, bringing about that kind of money. So place and personality are quite big. However, for the most part, you can manifest that amount of money in most places, based on your situation. In most situations, you can manifest that amount of money. But again, then you're really relying on your ability to shift as an individual. You need to, when I say freely movable as a person, I mean morally. I'm not saying to do anything wrong, but this is just an example state. I mean, like core personality. Let's just talk about core personality points here that you need to be able to be quite flexible in. So your morals, your sense of character, obviously, how you speak, how you dress, your boundaries. Most people who have a specific lifestyle, their boundaries are different. I mean healthy boundaries. Don't push yourself in a way where you know that you shouldn't be doing something, but you do it anyway. I don't mean those boundaries given to you by the law. I mean literally, if you put a boundary on yourself because you're saying that you're not comfortable with being worth a certain amount of money, then because of that perception of yourself, you're not going to go out of your way to put yourself in a position where you could make that amount of money. So if you valued yourself quite a bit and you saw yourself worth that amount of money, you'll end up actually putting yourself in a situation where you could make that amount of money. And that's the simplest way of putting it. But in a couple of days, I don't know. There are ways. I'm not going to go too far out from that being a possibility, because everything's a possibility. How to know how to know what type of work or job I can do. what do you normally do in your spare time? And based on what you do, what skills are you using that can be of use to someone else? And so it's not just the amount of skill you're doing. Like if you play video games a lot, you're very good with your focus. Or what jobs out there need someone who's good at focusing on little things? Look at it like that and really analyze yourself. The witch from down south. Oh my god, it's you. That's cool. No astral projection questions today, people. This manifestation or spirituality. I want to get away from astral projection a little bit today. I've been talking about it a lot on Instagram. If you guys want to head on over there, you can. I just freely go through any question, no matter what it is. Okay. You find me by looking up Ryan_J. Not the actual name, but J_Cropper. We got another donation of $5. Thanks, Jason Voss. That's a cool name, Jason Voss. Jason Voss. Buy my fragrance. I feel like I blocked myself from astral projection. It's an astral projection one. Okay, you pay for it, so we have to do it. I blocked myself from AP so I could open my pineal gland. I want to start trying again, but now I feel limited to what I see. If that makes sense. I see. Because astral projection, when you try to astral project, you automatically open your pineal gland. It's a part of opening specific chakra centers in the body and other energy centers in the body. And so you just wanted to specifically open the third eye. Do you value opening the third eye more than astral projection? It seems like you do, otherwise you wouldn't be okay with blocking yourself from astral projection in order to open your third eye. That would stand a reason that you think that, again, there's more value in opening your third eye. Maybe what you're seeing or what you're receiving. Some people like Akashic record stuff or being clairvoyant, being able to see the future and whatnot. But otherwise, you've basically got to sit down and do what I call a value meditation. You look at astral projection and you think about everything that it can give you, everything that you're going to experience through astral projection to the extent where it just makes sense to you that it's more valuable than opening your third eye, and you should automatically crumble that block. And you'll notice it's a tipping point, and then you'll be good. Because especially when you go through that type of value meditation, all of you is listening, including your subconscious mind. Am I spiritual? Yeah. I think I know I'm very, very much spiritual as it pertains to the entirety of spirituality. It's including what most people aren't aware of as spiritual practices. I look at everything as spiritual. There's always spirituality in everything because everything is consciousness based. Everything is based out of consciousness. It's founded in consciousness when it comes to ideas. Jobs are founded out of a conscious headspace. Someone came up with that idea to make a specific thing, a phone. Phones are spirituality. If you're reacting to something consciously, you're having a conscious reaction to something, And so that's a spiritual practice right there. You're just unaware of what's happening. You can look at that as a triggered state. You're being triggered into thinking a series of thoughts. And so that will become a problem. If you're being triggered for the wrong reasons, you can turn it into a spiritual practice, having your phone. If your phone brings out in you your best qualities, because there are things on there that make you be more yourself, that's a spiritual practice. You're consciously making the decision to be a better person from a consciousness level. And that's going to ripple out into your external reality and change things for you quite a bit. And so it's the same for many things, like YouTube, for example. You can use YouTube as a spiritual tool to grow as a person. It goes way beyond what people are usually using as a reference point for spirituality. Anything can be spiritual, literally anything. I get people telling me in sessions all the time, that they feel like they're stepping away from their spiritual practices, that they're being too distracted from their meditations and the yogas and stuff like that. And I say, well, everything's spiritual. Your job is spiritual. How do you feel during your job? Are you depressed? Why are you feeling depressed? About your job. You gotta address the mind in those states, and then it will become a spiritual practice. Okay. And what was I thinking? I was thinking of something real quick, and it slid straight out of my mind. I guess it'll come back later. Do you believe telepathy will eventually become the most common language on Earth? Any ideas on what it will take for us to get there from here? That's a good question. Yeah, I do think it will be commonplace, actually. I know so because of a DMT experience where I saw the cycles of the Earth and the evolution of the people on the Earth. And it went over and over through many cycles. I got to interact with the consciousness level on the Earth. It was really cool, including the Earth cycles when they die and then come back, and then other planets take place or other planets are formed, and it's always on a cycle. Telepathy-wise, eventually everyone gets there anyway. But what will really get you there is if you're honest with how you feel with yourself. Because in order to become very good with your telepathy, you need to first understand how you're feeling. You need to know how you're feeling so that you can discern your emotions from other people's. And then here comes the next bit. You need to be very blunt and open with how you think someone else is thinking. If you think someone made you feel a certain way, or you're making up a story in your head as to what the person in front of you is doing, you need to ask them. Because if you don't, then what you're receiving won't learn how to grasp specific 3D things. Like if someone says something to you, you're going to get a vibration along with a word, but you're going to feel like you know what they're saying, but logically what they're saying might make sense to you in another way. And so you might misunderstand what that person is saying because logically you're overthinking it. Whereas if you were just open emotionally, you felt it, then rather than thinking, you just asked them, hey, what was you meaning by that? You could then accurately get the right information. Your subconscious mind will actually store that and connect it to how you were feeling previously. And then later on in life, when you come across another person who's speaking to you in that same way, you'll just be able to feel it first, then correctly make sense out of what they're saying. And so you need to be quite open with your verbal dialogue in order to make it work. I recognize that face. Thanks for the donation, buddy. Awesome. Whoa. Is that a bug? I think so. I think it was a bug. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's keep going. Hey, we got another one from Eric. Well, that's the question. It just took ages to come through. Can you guys see and hear me okay? I don't know if the signal's going to cut out because the calls are quite crappy over here. Inbound calls to where I'm at right now do not work. Outbound calls, however, they do work, but there is like a 6-second lag time. Hey, Ryan, thanks for taking the time. How would you go about healing the physical and emotional wounds caused by circumcision. Mostly, okay. Guys, you're going to have to grow up for this one. Mostly regrowing the lost skin and nerves. Well, I know that the way you regrow nerves in your body is through fruit fasting. Something about the fruit, I think it's the electrical conductivity that the fruit gives you, causes your body to feel into itself more. So you'll be able to basically feel your nervous system even more because there's more electrical conductivity in the body. Potassium does that. It's very great for increasing the electrical impulses within your nervous system. You can also get potassium out of dates, way more than bananas. It's a myth. When people say that bananas have the most potassium in the world, then it's not. It's actually like number 6 or something like that. Number 1 is dates. Coconuts has to be in between there somewhere. But regrowing skin, I'm not sure how to do that, for sure. To regrow skin, there have been some theories out there based on other people's experience that if you heal the kinetic body, which holds the template within your aura completely, then things like limbs and again, this is theory, maybe even a hypothesis based on other people's accounts, which means there's practical stuff going on here to suggest the fact that this works. But if you heal the kinetic part of your aura that holds the information for your genetic template, then other things will start growing back. Okay? And so in your case, if you were able to find that out, then maybe, I can't say it will because I haven't done any of this, you'll see results in that. Otherwise, this is something that I know is, I can call it a hypothesis. I can kind of call it a fact. Oramus, there was this story where a cat lost its tail in a tree. And so all of a sudden, it started licking its owner's hand because its owner put Oramus on her skin to heal the burn. And it just loved it. So she kept putting more on there and it kept eating it. Then after some time, its tail completely grew back completely. And there's photographic evidence of this. If you look it up on YouTube or even on Google, you'll see a long lecture of someone talking about this. The guy who actually knew the woman who had the cat. And also he talks about how Oramus regrows teeth. And what else did it do? It had some weird spiritual side effects to it, to the point where orbs were coming out of the containers where it was stored in. And if you feed it to plants, the plants were glowing. And there's photographic evidence of this. The plants had lights inside the leaves, not just little orbs where it's like, that could be a camera trick. No, this was lit up. And then the orb would come out of the tree, kind of float around. Now, the emotional wounds would be to going about that type of operation would be your perception on it. If you're emotionally wounded, it's because you probably didn't like it or you don't agree with that in the first place and it was done against your will. And so maybe changing your perception on that would be the best. I know saying that sounds easier than it probably, calculates with most people. But I'm not sure if you have it already, because I know you are a client of mine, and I know you do get a lot of my courses. The one that's the Shadow Integration and Trauma Healing course, if you want, I can actually give it to you for free. Guys, based on your situation, I am a decent human being. If you can't afford a session and you're honest, don't BS me, because I can tell, and you're honest, I will just instantly give you the course for free. You don't have to pay anything. I've done that so many times. And straight after that, I get an email of somebody saying, why are you charging? And they're getting so angry, as if I'm forcing people to pay money for courses. I'm not. The reason why I charge for courses is because I understood a long time ago that when you pay for something, it not only shows a level of maturity with you because you're investing in yourself, but it also pushes you to actually do the course, to really sit down and knuckle down and to do what I say in the course. I spent like $3,000 to $4,000 on a bunch of business stuff back in the day. And boy, did I sit down. I barely ate anything. I wanted to get as much as I could out of that course. And even then, they kind of screwed me over and took away what I paid for. But still, I got what I needed, And so it drives people a lot when you pay for something. And I've actually done this a few times. I've given away courses to people who I knew could pay for it. I knew they could. They were family and friends. And they didn't use it. There wasn't a sense of urgency, And so that's why I do it. But let's keep going. But yeah, that course, Shadow Integration Trauma Healing, that allows you to change your perception on anything, absolutely anything. 13 ways to look at a situation. I've never had anyone have to go through 13 perceptions of their issues or their traumas to be healed emotionally and even physically. They carry themselves differently after this. It's a weird transformation. Because when you go through a trauma, what happens is your body tenses up. It doesn't fully relax. So it changes how you carry yourself and how you speak. It also constricts your throat. If you can't speak, if you're having throat issues, speaking issues, it could be fundamentally consciousness based there. It could be a consciousness issue, And so what I mean by that is a part of you could be holding on to how something happened to you in the past and you couldn't quite speak your truth. You're kind of closing your mouth and stuff. You got a lump in your throat that'll toad in your throat. And so your perception on that situation hasn't changed yet. If you change your perception, how you see that problem in the past, and you get over it because you see it differently, it actually relaxes the throat and you can speak better. You even carry yourself differently. In the course, it's 13 ways, but towards the end of the course, I tell people of a way to change your perception to around about 162 ways. It's really cool, but it takes a while. Okay, let's keep going. Damn, big props to that dude. Cool. Oh my god, 500. Why? That's 500 SEK. Look into that, because it might just seem like a lot. That's not $500. Although the biggest donation I got on this was like 100. He gave me $300 in total, and he did 100 first, and he kept chipping it out. Man, that was awesome. What else we got? Here's a spiritual question, which I think will probably pertain to a lot of you. Do people here just see vivid images when meditating? I think that's also a question to the people in the chat. If you're seeing vivid images and you're not even entertaining those images, you're receiving, they're coming from somewhere. Here's what you can do. Ask specific questions, like throw out questions in your head to those images and see if they change. Because you might have some beings throwing them to you. And so if you ask a question, they'll then give you a specific series of visions, which will clarify or verify that. Or it might be a part of your subconscious mind that's just unloading onto you because you've gone through a lot throughout your day, week, month, or even year, and you haven't really filtered through your stuff properly. You haven't sat down with yourself. And so when you go to bed, all of it comes up. You'll know this to be true if when you go to sleep, you have crazy dreams that make no sense. What else we got? We got another donation. Let's go with the question. Thanks. I will get to the ones in the chat as well, just to be fair. I don't want to go for just the top chat ones, the super chat. However, it does help if you donate, because it goes to that chat and it stays there. So I don't have to keep going up and down. I'll go up and down regardless anyway. Hey, Ryan, says Caitlin. Hey, I've been seeing lots of energy since my awakening. Seeing blue orbs around some people, and I see energy lines and swirls, etc. all in the air. Elaborate. Thanks for coming on. Awesome. Okay, this is great because I don't know if you noticed, but if you stick out one of your fingers, you should see a spiral doing this towards whatever you're looking at. And the energy is coming from your hand, but when you move your eyes across, the spiral kind of tracks where your eyesight is. It's really cool because you're getting to the point where you are seeing energy and you're seeing other things in this reality that a lot of people aren't privy to. I'm sure you've probably come up with ways to make it more elaborate. I'd say go into a dimly lit room. It's great. Go outside when it's a full moon, open field, and really look at that moon for a while. Moon gaze. Moon gaze does your spiritual body some good. Sun gazing does your physical body some very good. Moon gaze, and then after you're looking at the moon for a couple of minutes, look at the field. You'll probably start seeing people walking around. It's really weird. But it energizes your energy bodies that are responsible for seeing auras and very, very strange things. And that's what they are. They're strange things. You're seeing into every little thing that pretty much, not every little thing that exists, but you're seeing everything that you're able to see based on your ability at that moment. And it will grow the more you decide to stare at those things. One of the cool things I like to do is look at my hands. And they're like disco balls coming off, little sparks of light, and it goes in a certain way. It kind of flows in a certain way. I had a client who I taught that to. Personally, she came over and did a visiting consultation. That was a lot of fun. Because in the mirror reflects the same thing that's actually coming off the hand. So it's not a hallucination. You can't hallucinate something that's also being picked up by some other physical thing, like a mirror. And with that, if you were to get a projection screen, stand in front of it and have your shadow cast on the wall, and really start activating that part of you, hopefully, because you said you saw energy streams too. The energy streams, energy lines. The energy lines, are they white? Because if they're white, you're looking at the etheric grid. You're literally looking at the ley lines of consciousness that flow in and out of every building. Most people see the big ones, right? And they talk about that when it comes to the grid over the planet. You're seeing the little ones that most people don't notice. Beings notice it because they push thoughts into these little streams, and they're like static and they're white, kind of whitish silver, mainly white. And if you're seeing that, you should also be seeing that with your aura. You should not just the colorful aura side of it, but I call it the life body. It just makes sense to me because it's in everything. It's basically like this nice, thin, wispy smoke that will come through you. And that's the smoke that can be seen if you're standing in front of a projector. You can actually see a hard shadow. That happened to me. My first day of work. Everyone had like a meeting, and I was sat in the front row. And everyone was looking at everyone's shadows, and mine looked like I was on fire. And I was like, crap. And I put my hand up, and it was coming out of my hand, and everyone could see it looking at me like I was strange. But it was pretty cool. Oh, what else we got? I need to go to the bottom now because I know I'm way behind on questions. And these ones are going to pertain to what I was just saying. Jason Voss. Is seeing energy part of seeing sacred geometry? Not really. It is and it isn't. It depends. If you're on DMT or some kind of ayahuasca-like substance, then seeing sacred geometry is a part of energy. Because at that point, you're seeing the sacred geometry that is literally responsible for this physical reality. It's the vibration before you get to this substance. If you look at everything like density, or look at it like burying sand. When you get a bunch of sand, right, and you put it on top of more and more sand, the sand at the bottom is going to be more denser, right? Then the sand on top is going to be very light. Yeah, and it's the same if you super freeze cigarette smoke, or not cigarette smoke. If you super freeze a glass, and then you blow smoke into that glass, as the smoke goes inside, it will become heavy and it will sink to the bottom. And so when it comes to seeing sacred geometry on any kind of substance like DMT or ayahuasca or San Pedro or maybe even LSD or magic mushrooms, shrooms, what you're seeing is you're seeing the less dense version of this reality. Okay. And if you're seeing that all the time, then you're really jacked in, or you're really out of this reality. If you're seeing sacred geometry when your eyes are closed, it's because your third eye is wide open, pretty much. Everyone can see some kind of pattern if they're just real with themselves when they close their eyes. Everyone sees static in the first place. And so if you try to find a pattern in the static, you'll notice that the static will become literally more pattern and it will become geometry. The more you go with that, you will literally trigger a DMT state. And most of my really good meditations come from entering into that state through just seeing the static first. But when I was a kid, I used to just say it's just static. And I'd block myself from really doing it. Mainly because I'd be frustrated at the fact that it wasn't working or that it's just static. What am I seeing? This isn't making any sense, rather than actually trying to see the pattern in what I was seeing. There is a timer on here. I've been live for 33 minutes. I'm probably going to be live for about 40 to 50 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes. My favorite color is red, but that's biased because my mom and my sister. Are you watching it as well? Is it like a thing? My mom and my sister. I think my mom dressed me up in red, so I automatically like red, and my sister likes red too. So it is quite biased. Without those influences, okay. God dang it. This is a good microphone too. Still alive. It's omnidirectional, so it gets everywhere. It's not directional microphone.
You think that it hurt me?
Most likely.
Oh,
We'll see.
well, thank God for all adults here. When I chip my tooth.
What are my thoughts on Koi Fresco? I don't have any anymore. I haven't met him yet. I learned from being at Rhythmia and meeting the other YouTubers that there's really no point in trying to come up with an opinion on someone else or someone else's teachings at all. Because when you meet them, they're completely different people. It's very, very, very cool. But I don't have any thoughts on Koi Fresco. I don't know much about him to have any neither. I don't know his backstory. I'm not sure. So this is not a good microphone? Did you guys hear what was said like 5 minutes ago? If not, then we're good. If you did, write it down in the comments because... Oh, any advice on having first-person memory regression? It's cool because I actually took Sherazette through a memory regression last night. Advice on it though. Try not to be emotionally pulled when you pull out memories, because the emotions will limit your ability to channel other memories, subconscious memories. Because when you're feeling one kind of way when you're doing a memory regression, you're only ever going to get other memories that resonate with that frequency, that are the same as that frequency, where you've embodied that same emotion or similar to it. Other than that, it depends, because you're asking for advice on how to do it. Because advice, I need to know how you're doing it to give you advice to see if you're doing it right, if there's a way to do it. Otherwise, I have to tell you the entire thing on how to do it. That's a long explanation. No, we can't hear, says Rajesh. Rajesh, you can't hear? Really? How about now? A lot of you have been fine so far. Anyone else can't hear? Just write it down. She said she chipped her tooth. We talked about earlier on today. She chipped her tooth on Instagram, and I said, "Hey, why don't you just get it filed down, at some place?" And then I forgot the fact that I actually have a glass file, and she did it herself in the bathroom, and she got rid of all the chips. It looks really nice, and so I did the same thing. I filed my teeth down.
It was a tiny little chip.
It's very tiny chips, but gone. What else have we got? Questions? How do you overcome Christmas? Do you celebrate it at all? I don't celebrate Christmas. I celebrate family if I'm there for Christmas, And I had a discussion with my mom, and she does the same thing. But I don't actually celebrate Christmas as it pertains to the Christmas holiday, the birthing of Jesus Christ and stuff like that. Mainly because I'm very logical with it. I don't believe that someone can have the same day more than once. It makes literally no sense if you really think about it. And so even birthdays I don't believe in. But I still find a way to celebrate these things for the sake of other people, because these celebrations, they are quite nice. And so, like I said, Christmas, I celebrate family. Birthdays, I celebrate the fact that I've been around for an extra year and I got a certain amount done, and I've made certain connections with people. I celebrate the last year of my life on my birthday, and the how that's kind of like a benchmark for the next year, because the years are technically real things if you're not going to get too spiritual about it. And so, yeah, that's how I get over it. I don't really get over it at all. I make it something else, make it something more real to me. I'm not saying that the birth of Jesus Christ isn't real or anything like that. I'm just saying that, again, you can't experience the same day once every year. Once you've had that day, that moment is it, Otherwise, we'll revert back into babies. Oh, his teachings sound, says Alexandra. How can you tell who's telling who's selling snake oil and who's not. Okay, my teachings. It sounds like you're new to my channel. They're coming from my experience, so I only talk about my experience. Period. And so I'm not really selling anything at all. But the possibility that you guys can also do things that are very strange when you believe in yourself and when you don't listen to other people. And so also when you get to know me long enough, you realize that everything I'm doing is legit. I'm it. And I don't expect you to believe in that straight away. I actually encourage you to meet me. Because people who meet me realize that what you see on YouTube is only a very small amount of what I do. And when I talk about that Christmas thing, I wouldn't normally talk about stuff like that. There's a lot of things I don't mention because I don't want to trigger a negative response out of the public. So I'm quite reserved with some of the stuff that I talk about. But that might change over time. The reason why I'm looking this way is because that's what the comments are, if you're wondering. You are awesome. Thanks. How do you overcome complacency? Complaining about things, huh? You need to be real with yourself in the sense that there's no point in complaining if you can't do anything about the situation. If you can't do anything about a situation, you can't do anything about a situation. That's it. If you're complaining, it's probably because you know how to deal with the situation, but you're not doing it. So you've probably got other blockages there. Confidence blockages, you're not very outspoken, stuff like that. Or you're not very willing to do what it takes to get out of the situation or to change the situation. Just be more firm with who you are. If you know you can do something, do it straight away. Don't complain about it because it doesn't help anyone at all. And if you can't do anything about it, gee, maybe someone around you can do something about it. Tell them the issue. Say, what can we do? If they're all like, no, then not much can be done. What does skirt mean? Where to start? Thanks for the donation, Go Vegan. Cool. Oh, 42 minutes already. We ain't got much time, guys. Let's stop at 50 minutes. Is 111? This is the third question of manifestation, which is good. I wanted to make it more one-sided to manifestation because of where I'm at right now in my life. But this is cool. Let's read it on. Is 111 a number of manifestation? I see it everywhere. I had a dream about it. Could I use synchronicity to manifest? Hell yeah, you can. When you're seeing 111, it's because your thoughts are in alignment with the reality outside of you, for the most part. And for the most part, it's glimpses. Like there are small moments, okay? So, for example, you might be having a train of thought. I'll use my example because this happened to me when I was at work. I was very outspoken at work, and I was going up an elevator, right? This is before I got over my social anxiety or went through it. I went up the elevator and I had to ask some of the nurses for some help, but I was too shy. I was shy because I didn't want to get laughed at, because the last couple of times I went up there, they laughed at me. They laughed because of my haircut or something like that, you know? Or they thought it was funny to kind of smile and laugh. And I took it personally because everyone's always laughed at me. They haven't laughed because of other reasons. And so for that reason, I didn't speak to them, you know? And so I'm going up and I'm thinking, maybe I should actually say something this time because I need to know something about work. And as the doors open, I see a card on the wall that says it's okay to ask for help. And it's a card among many other cards, which just stood out to me, obviously, because of what I was thinking at that time. I looked at my watch and it was 11 minutes past 11. Okay? So what I was thinking about doing in that moment was literally reflected to me in that one moment for an instant, a quick instant. And there are many circumstances like that where it's like that, you know? And so it also helps you really trust in the fact that you have some sway here. You're connected to something bigger than yourself. You're seeing 111 or even 1111 to help. It's like the universe's way of saying, hey, you're about to figure something out about how our thoughts relate to reality. And you should probably sit and pause and think about what you were thinking about just then, you know? And if you learn how to ease into that and think about your thinking process at the time, you could then better shift your thinking process into similar patterns of thought in order to manifest like that. Because the pattern is when you're thinking, I want to do better for myself or for a situation, reality is also thinking that in quite a way, in quite a profound way, because it's on a high frequency. There's a good frequency of being, you know? And so you're going to see that more often in your reality. You're also going to see a bunch of negative stuff, but it's a little slower. It is a little bit more slow. Depending on the situation, that's only when it's you and you're thinking negative thoughts. Okay, because you've got to look for those negative things in your environment, and that takes a little bit of time. If there are people around you and you're thinking negative, they're going to pick up on it and they're going to give you what you're looking for, which is that's way more instantaneous when it comes to manifestation. Precious pieces. I have a phobia of vomiting. How do I rid of this? I'd say go through a memory regression. Remember the last time you felt nauseous? Is that what happens? Or are you just scared of throwing up? Like you're afraid of it? Or is it you get nauseous about thinking about it? Was a phobia, right? Many people react differently with phobias. What's your reaction to the thought of throwing up or sick in general? Because I'd say trigger that phobia on purpose through memory regression the last time you saw sick or was throwing up. Then ask yourself the question, why is it that this bothers me? And then wait for a response. Don't ask it to yourself. Kind of throw it out. Just throw it out there while you're looking at the memory. Why is it? And think it. Don't say it. When you think it, you're throwing it out to your subconscious. When you say it, you're throwing it out to the universe. Think it. You'll get answers as long as you don't try to control the outcome of that exercise. But then just ask a follow-up. How do I get rid of it? Tasha Jones! Hey. Says, you're awesome. Thanks for sharing your gifts with the world. Thanks, Tasha. Tasha. Amazing person. Brilliant person. Thank you. I'll try after this video. Awesome. Another glitch. Is there a glitch? By the way, nice ambience, bro. The cricket sounds in your place making me very meditative. You can hear that. So my microphone isn't broken. Rajesh, I don't know how to say your name, sorry. Yeah, the crickets everywhere. And sometimes there are howler monkeys to wake us up. It's literally like net geographic here. We're seeing so many different things. Another question. A couple of questions. Gee, it's coming through quick. Man, no wonder why you've only got like 2 minutes. Should I just do the hour? We'll see how I feel. Ryan, I've noticed that each time I've had an awakening, my frequency rises. And then drops in the winter. Weird. I was told that I am forcing things in life. I don't know. That's a bit vague of an answer to that. It could just be that things in the winter, like winter months, trigger dormant parts of your personality, like being very low frequency, and that could be tied to your perception on the winter months. We're drilled to think that rain is this depressing thing. When I was a kid, I loved it. Still loved it because I never believed in the adults when they moaned and just bickered about how crappy the weather was. I loved the weather. It was fresh. It smelled great. That's my perception on the winter. And so what's your perception on the weather? Because your perception will be steadily triggered. You'll steadily be triggered into that perception of the winter months as you get closer, because you're going to start hearing people complaining about it, most likely. That makes way more sense than you forcing things in life, which everyone does anyway. Everyone forces everything because a lot of people are impatient. And for other reasons, they're probably forcing things. Maybe they wanted to do something in the past and they didn't. And so they're trying to play catch up. They're trying to force conversation, stuff like that. Cool. What else we got? Black chocolate. Sending you love. You're an inspiration. Thank you for being in the world. Thanks. You're awesome. What else we got? I don't recommend any books because I grew up listening to audiobooks, or not audiobooks, audio tapes of people speaking. Like Napoleon Hill, study his work. He's very good. I think Andrew Carnegie also. And then I would listen to who, like every now and then they would mention a golden nugget about who they studied off of. And then obviously because they're old, they're talking about someone who they learn off of. You go even further back into the past. And so that's how I study. That's how I've been studying so far when it comes to stuff. But that's for the most part, for motivation, like personal development type things. If you're asking for books on like spirituality and stuff, I can recommend the Pictorial Atlas of Acupuncture. That's something I reference my findings on. Whenever I do energy work, I'm like, okay, I just noticed that something opened up in the back of my ear and connected to my left eye. Let's look through the Pictorial Atlas of Acupuncture, and I noticed that there are meridians there, So I reference most things nowadays. If I ever do come across some books that I end up reading for spiritual reasons, I'll let you guys know. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, this one sounds dark. Spiritual question. All my family died but me. I think there is a reason. Oh no, this is dark. I'm still here, and that keeps me going. Do you think I'm here for a reason? I wish I had a family. I'm gay, so do you think I will have a family? Here's the thing. You'll have whatever you believe that you should have. I'm going to say again. You will have whatever you believe you're supposed to have, or you believe that you're going to have. Making sense? In other words, if you believe it's for you to have a family, you're going to find a way to have a family, no matter what, because there are so many options out there to have a family. That's it. Everyone is right in the middle. I was talking about it today when I was walking up here. Everyone's right in the middle of a decision. And based on their belief systems, they'll either do the opposite of what they want or they'll get what they want. But everyone's always in the middle. You're never starting off at a deficit or even an advantage most of the time. It's based on your ability to believe in yourself and what you can have done. You might be thinking, what about people who are rich or who are spoon-fed? Maybe they're in a room still and they've got a bunch of public anxiety, so they're not going to go out and start scuba diving everywhere or jet skiing across a public beach. They're going to have issues still. Everyone has issues when it comes to them getting to a certain place in life. And so if you believe you're supposed to have a family, you're going to get it. You're going to find a way to get it. And that's the truth. But here's the hard part. There's going to be an issue leading up to that decision, to that belief even. And the hard part is comprised of what happened to you. Your whole family is gone. Okay, gone, but not too far. They're not dead. No one ever dies, clearly. It sounds cliche, but it's really true. And you really realize that when you astral project. And so there's definitely a reason for you to be alive. And what I often say in those situations is if you're alive after something like that and you're getting through it, it's so that your ability to get over something like that, to logically think yourself out of it and to deal with that issue is going to leak out of your head, go into the ethernet, and help someone else in the world who's going through a similar thing. Okay, so you're always helping somebody if you're getting through something. It stands to reason if you do the opposite thing. But we're shifting nowadays, I've noticed, when it comes to people dealing with issues like that. They're learning better, much better. And I know all of this to be true because I've seen the Ethernet. I plug into it all the time. Okay, this isn't a theory or an idea. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling you it with so much confidence. It's there. Most of my videos, actually, I can pull ideas. Like how do I levitate? It's fine. I find out. Sit there and plug into some monk. It doesn't matter if they've passed on as well. They still leave an imprint of their memories in the Ethernet. Then I'll find out how to do it. I'll try it out, and something else will happen. Maybe I'll start like levitating through my ceiling, not physically, but I'll project out my body. And I found a new way to astral project. Then I'll tell people, hey, this is how you can astral project or trigger an astral projection or a clairvoyance and stuff like that. Or forward memories. They're fun. Okay. Speaking too fast. I have a weird sense of time. It feels like 20 minutes has gone by and about 30 minutes has gone by. I don't understand your question. Mikurika? Thanks for the donation. Let me try and make sense of this. It says, I have hot metallic pinpoint sensation in the center of my head. What makes you think it's metallic? Because of how hot it is? Accompanied by a tiny metal tasting stones, okay, appearing in my mouth. What could it be? It sounds like detox. It sounds like your pineal gland is detoxing. That's what it sounds like. Because I know that when you taste metal, you're detoxing metal. Because I've gone through so many fasts. The fact that you're getting a sensation in your head, then you're tasting it. It could be your brain actually detoxing itself from specific heavy metals, either that you're somehow getting into your system, either through drinking it, breathing it in. Most of the time, that's how people get it into the system, unless you wash up with metallic substances, like pots and pans and stuff. That's what it sounds like. I'm gonna stay till I'm gonna do the hour. I'm gonna do the hour because a lot of you guys waited. Thanks. I messed up with the time a little bit. Everyone thought I was gonna go live at 5:30. It was actually 6:30. I meant to go live. Random Jackson, how much was your shadow integration course? Okay, it depends on your. Like, I'm just gonna tell you how much it is. It's not cheap for most people. However, for those who work, it's cheap. And yeah, I'm just gonna tell you how it is. I'll tell you what it is. I have to look at it again because I changed the prices earlier. The way I like to look at prices for everything, I go through this thing in my head. I think to myself, okay, if I was to pay a psychiatrist or a psychologist, just try a psychologist first for this type of work, I would have to go probably every week for about a couple of months, £200 to £500 per session, depending on who I'm going to. Normally, it's between 150 up, and that can sum out to a lot of money. Or I can get a course and only pay that amount once and then have to do it for myself. Okay, so I weigh it like that. It's as if I was going to actually seek help in the first place. Or the way I used to do it in the past when it came to me investing in myself, is I think, okay, how much money do I spend on food? It's like 200 and something, maybe a week and a bit, back then. And so I say, okay, well, I can cut down on how much I'm eating because I'm reading anyway back then. And I can use that amount of money for a course. Easy peasy. Or if my brother buys a bunch of video games, he spends hundreds and hundreds of pounds on video games. If you just didn't buy 2 video games, you can buy a course. There's stuff like that. You want to put it in real-term perspective based on you. Again, I'm not saying that it's cheap, because to you might not be making that much. And if that's the case, save up. Or use it to inspire you to get a high-paying job. That's pretty cool. So here it is. It's £100. Yeah, I would definitely get that. You've seen lights over there. It's £100 in the States. That's $126. After tax, it's changed. Some of my courses have tax, some don't. I've changed it so it calculates with additional tax. Okay, I put the course at 100. Tax is 22%, something like that. So it goes up to £120, which is $151 US. Okay. What courses are you guys talking about? I'm sorry, I missed it. This is the Shadow Integration and Trauma Healing course. And honestly, I wouldn't be so open with the prices. Seriously, I wouldn't be so open with the prices if I didn't think it was worth it. Because I've seen people like that, they know it's expensive, so they won't tell you right up front. They'll wait and put you through some kind of process first, where you probably see a video, and then you see a bunch of reviews, and then by that time, you've made up your mind that you're going to get it anyway, and then you see the prices, like crazy expensive. But I wholeheartedly believe in this, because on a couple of occasions, I had clients call me on emergency Skype saying how they were going to commit suicide. Obviously, for disclosure reasons, I won't say their name. I'm like, oh shit, all right, I'm going to put you through meditation real quick. One guy took his phone, he went outside, and he sat down, I took him under, and we went through the Shadow Integration Trauma Healing course. Within 20 minutes, his perception on his life and his reality completely changed, and he didn't want to commit suicide. Completely changed him for the better, out of that headspace. And the weird thing is this: it doesn't make you. Sometimes it can make you like really happy for life, but it's weird how the course changes your perception because it gives you more information first. And so I always say to people, don't finish the course on a bad note, because as you go through the meditation, you might feel worse. You need to go all the way through to the end. Otherwise, you'll come out of it worse off than you started. And so luckily, he had me on course, so we went through the whole thing and he came out fine. But another thing I love about the course is when you go through it, you're kind of like disorientated, and it's kind of like you're on some kind of thing. I was gonna say psychedelic, but most psychedelics don't make you space out. It changes your perception on reality to the point where your ability to respond to my questions won't work anymore. If I ask you questions, you want to give it to me. You give me answers, right? And so it's a constant back and forth exchange. And the perception is we're having a conversation. If I change your perception, now you're like this, or looking past me, or being distracted by something in my kitchen. And so stuff like that happens instantly, and it's pretty funny. A couple of more questions. Are things like awakening or enlightenment in Buddhism the same phenomenon as when DMT is synthesized in the pineal gland? Yes. Awakening, I'd say that is more like enlightenment. Everyone has it all the time as long as they're not in resistance to themselves and or their current circumstance. Okay? Enlightenment is what happens when you're open mentally, and you don't have to do a whole bunch to do that. You really don't. It's really basic, simple stuff that everyone goes through. My computer's about to die. Can I get this out quickly before it dies? Okay, so for example, enlightenment, you might have miscommunication with someone and they might tell you something, what they really meant. It's like, oh, now it makes sense. You feel happier, you feel lighter. That's enlightenment. That's a moment of enlightenment. You might think that it's easier to do one thing once in a way than you try something else because you just feel like doing something differently and it works out better for you. Now it's easier for you. You feel lighter, you feel better. That's enlightenment. See where I'm going here? Okay, gotta go. It's gonna die. Thank you for the donations.
The one person donated twice and he still didn't get his question answered.
Okay, plug it in quick before it dies.
Okay.
Oh, this one doesn't work over here.
Oh, here's it. Move over.
I'll move. No!
Where?
Plug.
Plug it in.
There might be energy in the cord.
Okay. Plug it in. Cool. Okay, I just reached there.
Okay, can you check it out?
Yeah. There you go.
Still saying it's running low. Did it unplug when you moved it?
Let's. There it goes. Got it.
That was a close one. What was their name? Do you remember their name?
He's the last one that donated 15. He also donated the other 5, but in this, because you know how it's shorter?
Yeah, shorter.
It starts with a B.
Benzonani? Got it. What are your thoughts on Tibetan monks creating tulpas so dense that they can affect physical reality? My thoughts on that, like, I tried that because I remember hearing that in Corey Good's talk. I didn't do it to the extent where I started actually having the effects that he had. He was saying how he saw people throwing thought forms and denting tin cans. But I did have the effect of moving a straw. It's in my telekinesis video. I was sat there, and this is actually before I heard of Corey Good's interview. And I was thinking there must be other ways of moving things with my mind. I was like, I can feel energy in my body very easily. It feels hard. It feels a certain way. I can change the density. I can move it around. What if I somehow shot it out through my eyes? And you know stink eye, when people give you the evil eye, right? You kind of feel that. It's like, boom. It's like, what if there's something physical there? So I'd look at the straw and I would move feeling-wise, not visualize, but feeling-wise, something in my head and try and get it out through the eyes. And I'll look at it like it's a person. And it would move. And I recorded that. I wasn't going to put it on YouTube, but I ended up doing it anyway. Because of that, it's a conversation me and my friend Derek had. Because I wanted to tell him first. I tell him like everything I used to. Yeah, and my thoughts on that, it works. It works. Yogi Jones, you guys are so sweet. Thanks. No, you're right. Talk to you later. Talk to you later, Jamie. Sweet dreams. Good prices. Thanks. All right, then. See ya. Thanks for showing up. Oh, there's another one. I got just one more because it's part of a super chat. One last person. No one else donate. Okay, it'll be overnight. Hayden. That sounded very familiar. Thoughts about taken by alien beings? Had dreams ever since I was little. These things morph. Sometimes alien beings. This might sound far-fetched and weird and out there, but trust me, like I'm a skeptic sometimes. I'm always a skeptic first when things like this happen, and then it has to happen a few times. At least that's how it used to be. And I noticed that when entities, aliens, like physical aliens, do things with people, sometimes they don't have to abduct you. And sometimes they abduct you, but on other levels, they will abduct your energy body and your consciousness with it. And, that counts for the teleportation thing. Like, you know, you're in your physical bed, but all of a sudden you're like somewhere on a ship really quickly. They're taking you energetically, and your consciousness also, and dealing with you energetically sometimes. Most times, especially when you're taking like ayahuasca and DMT. Other than that, they can put you through simulations, which are pretty cool. They put you through dream states, and they kind of beam into your head and control your dreams. And they set up your dream in a way by which where they're able to put you through certain trials certain trials to see whether or not you'll make specific choices. And through your choices, they're studying mankind. Other than that, they can also show up in your house, like physically. And when they do that, from personal experience, they come with a specific vibe to them, which makes you feel like you're astral projecting. But then as soon as they leave, the vibe disappears out of the air, and you're left there. It's wide awake still. Like, when am I going to wake up? And you don't wake up because you're already awake. That's the way it happens. And it's weird. But that's life. Stranger than fiction. Okay. One more thing. I'm gonna close down. This will probably be my last Q&A here. If you want more Q&As, if you had questions which you didn't get answered, check out my Instagram, because I go on there live every now and then throughout the day. It's been like a daily thing so far. And sometimes they're quick lives. Like, I'm waiting for a taxi, so I'm live for like 10 minutes. I'm answering questions. And sometimes they're sit downs like this. I'm talking on and on and on. And every now and then I'll get a special guest show up, like Aaron Dowley or Gavin Stevenson, you know, maybe even Victor Odd will show up next time. It's been a while since he's shown up on my Instagram, you know. And so it's pretty cool if you can get over there, because it's a different dynamic when it comes to me answering questions, and it's happening much more frequently. In my last live video that I did, I mentioned how I was going live for the next 2 months. I'm going to be here for another month, so we're already a month in. And then what happens after, I'm not too sure, but that's only on Instagram. This was, like I said, it was a filler thing that I wanted to do with people, because a video got delayed. I wanted to give you guys content anyway, so I did a live stream. Okay, take care. Merry Christmas if you celebrate it.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. And how would you say, like, Christmas Eve? For Christmas Eve.
Oh, Merry Christmas Eve?
It doesn't sound right.
I don't know.
Merry Christmas Eve.